All right. Hello to you and your strengths. I am Tiffany, your strength-based pathfinder, and I am on a mission to replace meetings with workouts, workshops, and I'm here today to talk with Katie about her top 5 Clifton strengths. And so, Katie, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you get paid to do, and what are you passionate about?
Right. Well, I get paid to do, I actually have my own small business. It's called Love and Lettering by Katie. And I started it about 6 years in the middle of, PCS season, of course, because that's just what we do. Coincidentally, I'm also in the middle of PCS season
Yeah.
again. But besides my small business, I also work for Spousely, which is an online marketplace that serves the military, veteran, first responder communities. That is a marketplace for both products and service based vendors. And I'm their community manager, as well as I also work for a nonprofit called Points for Patriots, and I do social media coaching for them as well. So those are my 3 paid gigs. And then, yeah, also a mom and a dog mom and
Yeah.
a wife and all the things that I
Yeah.
don't get paid for, but also take up just as much, if not more, parts of my life. So,
Yeah, wonderful. And for those listening or joining us that don't know what, because I am a former military spouse, you're a military spouse. Could you explain what PCS means for our listeners?
PCS, permanent change of station. So it means that we are picking up and we are moving from one military installation to the next. For example, we are currently in Arizona and we are about to move to Alabama. And this is actually the second time we are doing this. We've done this exact same move from Arizona to Alabama. We did that 6 years ago. Nope, 7 years ago. And
Mhm.
we get to do it again today or in a couple weeks.
Yeah, well, I will say if you're watching, listening, at Love and Lettering by Katie, she has great videos on what that process is like and tips, and is really just a good touchstone of support for anybody that's moving, spouse, military or not. So yeah, check it out because that's definitely some of the videos that I thought I was like, oh, I wish I would have had these. I wish I would have had these. And I've been window shopping on your Clifton Strengths report, been window shopping in your social media, and it's one of my biggest joys is to be able to look at someone's report and then go window shopping and look at how these are showing up. So I'm really glad that I get to explore that with you today. But we're going to start by just going over what are your top 5 Clifton strengths, and starting with the definition of what is a strength, right? So these are your top. We're going to be going over your top 5 talents. Now, a talent becomes a strength when you invest time and intention into that talent. It can become a strength, right? So the top 5 that we're looking at are the 5 that are they're natural to you. They're your natural ways of thinking, feeling, behavioral that show up. So there's not a lot of energy or time that have to go into them because they're natural to you, right? But there are 34 Clifton strengths. So there might be other talents that are not in your top 5, not in your top 10. But as you get to know more about your talents and strengths and those around you, you might be interested in, well, how do I develop other ones? Right. So that always is. But I like to start with the first 5 because that's plenty. There's a lifetime of work and to be done in the top 5. And what I love is so each talent or strength has a home in a leadership domain. And 4 of your top 5 Clifton strengths live in the relationship building leadership domain. And then your last one, your 5th one, is in the strategic thinking. So yeah, so let's dive in. All right, developer. So I'm going to read you the verbatim definition for developer from Gallup. So people exceptionally talented in the developer theme recognize and cultivate the potential in others. They spot the signs of each small improvement and derive satisfaction from evidence of progress. So, knowing that definition of developer, can you tell me a story or a time where you were like, oh, I think my developer has shown up to help me spot signs of improvement, progress in people that could be made?
100%. That is in my Points for Patriots Spouse
Okay.
Connect, the social media coaching. I
Yeah.
have to do a one-on-one with each fellow at the beginning and the end of the fellowship. And, like I tear apart their social media. We go through it platform by platform. And even throughout the course of the fellowship, I'm always in the WhatsApp group, like, hey, I noticed you posted X times this week and that was your goal, like, yay. Or I noticed,
Yeah.
like you've had, this many orders and you went viral on social media. Like that's always, like, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm hyping up in those comment sections, and kind of similar to in the Spousely community manager job. I also help kind of keep things going in the Facebook group for the vendors, and also trying to like here post some questions and get people talking, but then also hyping them up in the comments on, hey, you're doing a really good job. I see you, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that does
Oh,
not
I
surprise me
smile.
one bit.
Yeah, and I keep smiling because as you're telling your story, I'm also picking up on like other strengths that are showing up in your story. So, but we're gonna move. Okay, so we'll move to Relator. So the Gallup definition for Relator reads, people exceptionally talented in the Relator theme enjoy close relationship with others. They find deep satisfaction in working hard with friends to achieve a goal. So the story you just told could have been used for that too, but I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to tell me a time when Relator has shown up, which means, and I like to compare Relator to Woo. Like I like to compare those and talk about the difference. So, Relator is, let's say you're going to a party. Relator is going to go to a party because there is someone that they're going with that they care deeply about, or someone they're going to meet that they care deeply about. And they're going with the intention to improve on that relationship, to invest in that relationship, right? Whereas someone with high woo, like in their top five, they might go and be excited about the potential to bounce around and talk to people and just have little conversations and pick up little tidbits about people, but there's no intention to like carry on those relationships, right? So can you tell a time where you intentionally sought out an opportunity to invest time in a relationship to achieve a goal?
I think I was part of a brunch group in DC when we were stationed out there. And,
Mhm.
we would meet every month, every other month. But then we decided that we were going to like have a goal session at the new year. And so we met
Okay.
up at a co-working space, and then we all got there, went through our goals, and then like had a little, hey, how are we doing on all of this? And, it was
Yeah.
really nice to have that girls group. But then, a couple of relationships really grew out of that. And I really just appreciated those relationships, and then getting to watch, them thrive in different things. And a couple of them encouraged me to do a fellowship through Dog Tag Bakery last year.
Oh
And so I did
yeah.
that. They had
Yeah.
done it the year before me, or the, cohort before me. So then I did it. So then I felt like, between the three of us, we got to bounce back, bounce over. They mostly helped me with mine because they'd already been through it, but just to be a part of that group, and to be, um, yeah, a friend group that was also really working hard on bettering our businesses and bettering ourselves in the process, was really nice to be a part of.
Yeah. Oh, I love that story. All right. So, empathy. This one did not surprise me at all. So, empathy. People exceptionally talented, and the empathy theme can sense other people's feelings by imagining themselves in other lives or situation. And specifically for empathy, I'd like to point out that with bringing out emotional intelligence, right? So bringing
Mhm.
emotional intelligence, um, and also maybe having the need to laugh, cry, vent. So very curious, because I do hear a pattern often with people who have empathy in their top five, that empathy can be one of the strengths that gets in the way the most for them.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's true for you. You're nodding
Yeah.
your head, but I hear a pattern of people with empathy in their top five that I coach, that empathy is the one strength that gets in their way the most of the time out of their top five, because it takes so much. And so with that, needing that freedom to laugh, cry, vent on your own, I'm curious, what are the strategies, or where do you go in order to balance that empathy and that giving to give back to yourself?
think you have to really be strategic and make sure that you make time to pour into yourself just as much as you pour into others. I don't know if it would surprise you, but I actually was a nurse before I started my business, and for almost 12 years worked as a nurse, and it is
Mhm,
incredibly draining. It's a
mhm.
gift to be someone that's there when someone takes their first breath. I worked labor and delivery, but then I also worked hospice. And
Yeah,
it's also a gift to be with someone on their last breath. So, um, but it is incredibly draining to be
mhm.
on for those types of jobs. And so you definitely do have to have that strategy to take care of yourself. And it sometimes it means going home, like especially after hard shifts, going home and crying in the shower, or
Yeah,
calling someone, or
yeah.
calling someone on your way home from work. And I actually was able to develop a really close friendship relationship with my coworker when I worked hospice. She was the social worker, and she became one of my absolute best friends. But I could call her and we could vent and talk about it together
Mhm.
because she understood it. And that relationship, obviously, we're still very, very close friends. And it's the same thing. When I'm having a rough day, I feel like I call Sam
Yeah,
and she can like help talk me through it and stuff.
yeah. I think, yeah, I absolutely love it. I think I also get the question a lot of what does it look like to pour into yourself before something happens, before there's an event or information that comes to you? Like, is there anything that you do on a daily, weekly basis that helps prepare you to be able to make those phone calls to,
Hmm.
kind of like a preventative measure for like, I'm going to practice pouring into myself in this way now, so that when I need to call on extra energy, extra time, that
Hmm.
I can do that. Like, is it reading a book? Like, how would you
Yeah,
say what's your
absolutely.
thing?
Um, I've gotten better at it over the years. I feel like there's many years, especially when my kids were little, where it was
Mhm.
harder to pour into myself. But I think over the last few years, it's making sure you put yourself on your calendar and not just put everyone
Mhm.
else. And so, a habit of mine is like I read every day
Mhm.
without fail. I also have like a pretty banging Kindle streak right now. And so like I'm not letting that go. Um, but it's
I love
always,
it.
the goal is always like 5 or 10 minutes a day to read,
Yeah.
but it will always end up into more. And
Mhm.
like I always take my dog for a walk every day. And sometimes it's listening to audiobooks, just for enjoyment. Sometimes it's audiobooks for personal development. Sometimes it's just like a hype music or
Yeah.
just nothing. Like I like to go
Mhm.
for walks even sometimes in the evening, where we are. There's a golf course right by. I go and I look for bunnies, and bunnies make me happy. And
Yeah.
counting how many bunnies I find on my walk is like just enough. Taking pictures
Yeah.
that I'll probably never do anything with, but
Yeah.
save this
Yeah. I
in my
love
camera
this.
roll.
I love this. Yeah. So I think one of the words that I struggled with a lot as when I was a military spouse was
Mhm.
resilience. Because a lot of the time, the way that it was pitched to me was it's something that you need to fight for, strive for, try. And what I'm hearing, what I know to be true about you and your stories, what you're sharing, and what I see and what I've found to be true for myself and all the other spouses and all the other people that I've worked with is you already are resilient.
Right.
It's practicing the skill set of looking for what that resiliency looks like for you. And so for you, it's, you don't need to see a PowerPoint on how to be resilient. It's,
Right.
I need to know what resilience looks like for me. It's counting bunnies for you. Right.
Yeah.
I would
It's
like that
crafting
wouldn't
or
be what it
doing
is for me
something.
because I would see a bunny and I'd be like, oh, there's probably a snake. And then I get distracted, right? So like my
Yeah, I have to look for
resilience
those
isn't
too.
yeah, right. Like my resilience isn't your resilience. And that's okay. And I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of the time, and this is leading into your next strength, which I'm gonna love your input on, um, which is harmony. Right. So I think that especially for military spouses and in, military families, there is disruption,
Mhm.
on a consistent basis. And there harmony is something that I won't, it's not impossible. There's harmonious moments, right? But I would say like I'm very interested as somebody like you who has harmony in their top 5 strengths. Um, how, like, if you could tell me a story about that. And I'm going to read you the definition before, give you time to think. So, people exceptionally talented in the harmony theme look for consensus. They don't enjoy conflict, rather, they seek areas of agreement. And they bring peace, peace loving and conflict resistant approaches.
I think sometimes honestly, I mean, we all know there's not a lot of harmony on those Facebook groups or on the internet and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's learning you can just scroll past.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with something, just scroll past it.
Yeah.
But it's also not rage baiting people either. Like,
Mhm.
you're in a controversial, like you have a controversial thought. Do you have to post it? See, for me, I don't, because I don't want that disagreement. But I also am
Mhm.
not that person that's only going to post about the rainbows and the butterflies of military life, because we know that's not true.
Yeah.
But is there a way to do it where you're not just like completely like piling it on? No. But
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
how can we bring people together on certain things? And I think that's kind of my goal with my social media, is to be more harmonious and not,
Mhm.
not have this whole negative Nancy thing going on, but also not be,
Yeah.
toxic positivity either, because
Yeah.
that's not
Nobody needs
what
that.
I'm,
Yeah. Yeah.
there. I don't love every part of this, and I'm not going to pretend that I love every part of this. Hence the reason why my background is blurred, because you don't want to see what everything else looks like here
It
when
is
you're doing a
not
ditty
harmonious.
move. This is not.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
again, yeah, I think being able to, like, I mean, I am 100% the person that avoids conflict. Like, it
Yeah.
makes me cringe. It makes me like, I hate anytime I have to say no. Boundaries can be hard for
Mhm.
me, but I have also learned how to just learn
Yeah.
how to say no too,
Yeah.
and not say yes to everyone because it means I'm saying no to something else for myself or my kids. So
Yeah.
there's just
Yeah.
that delicate balance, and that's something that's been learned over the years for sure.
Yeah. So when I when I see these talents, these strengths, they're more than words to me, they're more than definitions. And
Mhm.
so it's every time that I get someone's report and I see these words and then I get to have, this coaching session. So now it's like you will be one of the other faces for harmony I have. So that when I need to call on harmony in my life, call on this talent, this strength, cat's out of the bag. It's not in my top 5. It's not in my top 10. Right. So, but there are times, but I have found times and I've been on teams where harmony was necessary and
Mhm.
it was a strength that I had to develop. And what I've come to learn about harmony, because at first, in initial conversations about harmony and learning about that talent is, well, are these like, is this like, oh, I'm a pushover? Like, you don't like, you just conflict avoidant completely. And
Mhm.
like, what? And that's just not harmony. There's more to harmony than that. It's people with harmony in their top 5, they have a respect for people's time and energy. And they
Mhm.
also have a vision of what's possible when people come together, when there's
Mhm.
not conflict, when people come together, what's possible, right? And so harmony used to be one of those strengths where I was like, what? Like, I need to develop the skill set. I need to see the benefit in this. I need to like meet people. I need to see it working in teams to understand. And I will say it has become one of my favorite strengths to learn about and to meet people that have it. So I think anybody who can, and I think about like your background in nursing and as a military spouse and as a mom, like there's constant change and constant obstacles that want to bombard your brain, your mind. So I love like when you went to social media is like the first thing to just get you off balance, to take your time, to take your energy. And I love that you like, I'm setting up boundaries because I'm protecting my energy, the energy of others, so that we can come together and like move forward.
Mhm.
I love
Just
that.
learning how to pick your battles too. There
Yeah.
are some things that you will have to be a pushover about, but then there's other things that you
Mhm.
have to know, like, okay, I am going to fight for this.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's the key to it. is
Yeah.
knowing what's important, what's not important in like a conflict.
hmm And I think that your fifth strength, I think, and that's your strategic. Remember, it's the strategic one. Listen, strategic is input, and I love that you have a strategic strength to kind of pair up with all these relationship building themes, right? So, and I'll read you the definition for input. It says people exceptionally talented in the input theme have a need to collect and archive. They may accumulate information, ideas, artifacts, or even relationships. And so, I can even think, just from your content that you're posting, I can think about examples. But I'm gonna let you give me examples of how, and I would like for you to pair this example with harmony, where it's you collect information, ideas, or even relationships with people to help you make an informed decision about which of those battles you are gonna pick up and fight for. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always like having a little Rolodex in your head. That probably really aged me,
No.
Rolodex. But yeah, all the tabs open
Anymore.
and you're like, I'm collecting information. I might not need it
Yeah.
right now, but I am gonna use it eventually. But it's like drawing on those past relationships and I guess in some ways networking and learning, okay, so I may not have um been through this situation, but I can go back in my brain and know, okay, this person has been through it. So what can I talk to them
Mm-hmm.
about? And how can I
Yeah.
use my relationships with someone else to improve a situation? For example, like I think that was someone I found someone had like used some of my content, cut my name off on the bottom of it. I was like, that's
Mm.
cool. No, that was really cool. Like, that's clearly mine, but thanks for cutting
Yeah.
my name off that.
Yeah.
Always watermark your stuff, by the way.
Oh,
And so I went to someone I knew and I was like, okay, she's been through this. What can we do? And like helped
mhm.
walk me through it and like just help, like, all right, you're gonna fight. You have to fight for,
Yeah.
the stuff that you put time and energy on. And some stuff I'm okay. I'm again willing to pick my battles
Mhm.
on are you inspired by? But like straight up, I know you cut my business name off of
Yeah.
this piece of content and are
Yeah.
sharing it. No, I'm not okay with that. So yeah,
I
drawing on
love,
relationships of other
yeah.
people. How can I use that to my advantage? Or yeah, talk through with someone that might
Mhm.
know more than I would.
Yeah.
And where do we go from here?
I absolutely love this because I think, and this is not just, my comment right now is not just for military spouses, it's for
Mm,
all human beings.
right.
When I hear you talk about that, I think about as a military spouse, I was so reluctant and I have input in my top five.
Mhm,
So I'm constantly gathering information, but I was very reluctant to gather that information from other people first. I felt this pressure to have it figured out to some level on my own before I did that. And I think, and I love that you have these four relationship building themes that can pair with your input because it's not just I'm gonna have this collection, this library of books that are on all these different topics and I can reach out and like inform myself on things. It's people. Like, so when you come up to a situation like you're describing, it's you have this like arsenal of people that you choose from
mhm,
and their experiences. And you're taking some of that weight from yourself and helping distribute the weight of that decision, the heaviness of that with
mhm.
other people and building that community. And that is absolutely beautiful. I
Yeah.
love
And
that.
in that
Yeah.
situation, she actually went to bat for me because she'd been through it. So it's like, also
Yeah.
as someone that likes harmony and does not like conflict, she
Yeah.
took care of it for me. But I also had
Ab-
built that relationship up
Yeah.
and
So
went
she
to
could
someone that
stand,
I
yeah.
knew had
Yeah.
experience with it. And I didn't really at the time. And so yeah, I'm constantly like thinking about my network and not for how it benefits me necessarily,
hmm
because then it's also like, hey, so and so is looking for a person who is, you know, highly skilled in this. And I could be like, I don't know that personally, but I know so and so might know someone. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to connect and make those
Community. Yeah. From a
make that
network to a
community, because I
community.
think
Yeah.
it's so important in our, in the military spouse community, in the entrepreneur community.
Yeah.
Honestly, the word of mouth and the personal recommendations can be
It
everything.
can
It
be a
can
literal
change everything.
lifeline. A
It
literal
can.
lifeline. Absolutely. Um, and this is a really good segue into the next part of this, which is I'm glad you said that, your friend, she went to bat for you. And because here's the thing, there are 34 talents and strengths. Your top five come naturally to you. Focus on what's in your top 10. I have a lot of people at the time are like, but what about number 34? They'll get their list of 34. And that's why I usually start coaching with just top five, because I
Mhm.
don't want people to just go to number 34 and be like, what am I horrible at? Like, what's because that's a pattern, right?
I'm really
But
curious to know what my
yeah,
34
yeah.
was.
So yeah, be curious, like get in there. But it's like, but it's the point of doing this strength work is not to become the best at all 34. It's
Mhm.
exactly what you just described, which is to recognize what are your top five, what are your top 10, what's showing up for you, what's serving you well, what's getting in your way, and what are some of
Mhm.
those talents or strengths that you're not necessarily interested in developing them. You recognize that they have an importance and that
Mhm.
they're needed, but it's not necessarily something that you need to invest time and energy on, because you have somebody to do that for you. And that's whether
Mhm.
it's your family, on a team at work, wherever it might be, your communities that you're building. And so I love that, because there's not a pressure, like there's no way you're going to be amazing at all 34 at all times. Like that's not the goal, right? And so for me, empathy is that one, right? Because sometimes, but what I found is that the world needs more empathy. And I have found that on all the teams that I'm on, all the relationships that I have, empathy is something that I could learn, a skill that I want to learn and develop. So I've spent years talking to people with high empathy, learning about empathy, investing in that skill, right?
Mhm.
Because that's something that I myself want to improve. But, there is my gram, for example, has high analytical. She is, when something information comes to her, just like that, she's logically thinking about the solution without emotion, without things. She's like, she can logically see the steps. And so when I know I need like a step-by-step action, I just reach out to her, just like you reached out to your friend, right? And so I think
Mhm.
as we build these communities around us, knowing like what the strengths, our strengths and the strengths of others around us, gives us the language to celebrate like what's right with us and the people around us. Not look at, well, you're not this and I'm not this. It like
Mhm.
it's flips the script. And as an entrepreneur, I am very, very interested in how you, like, if there are, of your top five, which of these top five shows up for you in ways that serves you well as an entrepreneur, and which one of these gets in your way and you're like, entrepreneurship would be so much easier if this strength didn't show up and cause me a hard time sometimes.
Empathy gets in the way for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would just give my stuff away for free if I could. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, well, they're having a bad day. Let me just send, like, and then you're like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I made nothing this month because I gave everything away and I wanted to give everyone a discount and I wanted to do all this and it does get in the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think definitely, I mean, harmony for sure is wonderful. And say,
Mm-hmm.
remind me my top two again,
No,
what they're
yeah. So
called.
developer when you're looking to develop something in other people, and then
Okay.
relator. So yeah, lines of communication stay open, you're building relationships.
I think, yeah, Relator for sure.
Mhm.
Obviously has benefited me a ton in my business. Like I said,
Yeah.
um, just being a part and like really, in that community and networking a lot with the military
Mhm.
spouse community, and the spousely community has really served me well over these
Yeah.
last, almost 6 years, and getting to know the other military spouse entrepreneurs and the other vendors on spousely, and just getting to know them, even on a personal level and stuff. I've met
Mhm.
countless other small business owners that I've met on Instagram, and it's wild that you're like, hey, we're going to take this out of the group chat and we're going to go have brunch, or like,
Yeah.
But
Have a
it's
human
been
experience. Yeah.
it's been
Uh,
great because then they
Yeah.
become your people and people to bounce ideas off of. And, it's been good because then they're like, they also challenge me just as much as they try to challenge them as well. And it helps
Yeah.
us do better in our businesses.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So I have, as we're wrapping up here, I have some homework for you,
Okay.
some challenges. So, and I won't be checking in on you to see if you do it or not. So whether you choose to do it is up to
Okay.
you. So no pressure, right? Like, so complete harmony for whatever you choose to do, right? I'm here if you have any questions as you do this, but your report, so your Clifton Strengths report that you got, it has your top 5 on the page, but below that, you'll notice that, and it has the definitions like the ones I read out to you, but below that, each strength also has highlighted areas. So you'll see that some of the definitions and descriptions are highlighted. Those are specific to you based on how you answered your assessment. So if you're thinking, what do I do with this information? Where do I go now? We've named what your strengths are in here and we've claimed them by telling stories about them. So we've done the name and claim part. The next part is going to be the aim part. So how are you going to use this new information to aim towards goals that you might have for yourself? And so I would encourage you before you set goals and try to aim your strengths that you still live in this claim world with other people outside of me. So with people and share your top 5 strengths with people whose opinion you care about. Let me be specific, right? So if, going to people and say, hey, like, I have these top 5 strengths. Can you tell me a time where you've seen this shown up? Or can you like, do you think this like fits me? If so, like how, why? And so, you know, and before you ask people, write down like, what do you think people are going to say about you? Right? Like, I'm going to go to these 3 people and I think that they're going to say this about me because maybe they have been communicating with you, what they see in you, what they value in you. But yeah, I would just challenge you to as many people as you're comfortable with sharing your strengths and then getting their own stories to help you claim this. And then really looking at what are some of the goals that you have coming up where your strengths might be getting in the way or where they could help you. And giving as you're setting those goals, really speaking, literally speaking to your strengths and saying, okay, empathy, like you're not going to get in my way this time because this time I'm going to collect money for everything that I send out. I'm going to collect money for, or, all right, Harmony, like I need to lean on you really hard because we're going into a season where there's going to be a lot of disruption and opinions about how I should and what I should. And I'm going to bring other people in on these conversations. So, yeah, I'm really excited for you to window shop on these strengths showing up for you, finding out how other people see these strengths in, action and what you're doing. And then I'm always here to talk about them further.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, and we'll make sure for our listeners and people joining us, we'll make sure that they know where to find you, where to find all the organizations that you support and all the work that you do. Make sure that they can show you love there too. So we'll make sure we get that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for me before we sign off?
I don't, but now I gotta add a couple more things on the to-do list.
To do this. Oh, okay. Thank you, Katie, so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.